Imagine this. It's a beautiful Friday night in South Florida, and you're driving home from dinner, maybe Las Olas, maybe South Beach. You've had a drink with your meal, maybe two, but you feel fine, right? All is good. You feel fine. And the next thing you know, police lights, they're in your rear view mirror. You see them, okay? And you think it's a simple traffic stop, but guess what? The officer walks up, doesn't ask for your registration, and he says, hey, I smell alcohol. Maybe you were drifting in and out of your lane. You think, well, I'll just do these field sobriety exercises. I'll just listen to him because, hey, I'm sober and all I had was a drink or two. We'll stop right there. Because before we even talk about the breathalyzer machine or anything else that happened after you're arrested, I want you to understand the real danger here. You can and you will talk yourself into a DUI arrest. That's right, I said you will talk yourself into one, not talk yourself out of one, even if you think you're being helpful. Now I'm going to tell you exactly what to say to the cops when they're pulling you over and speaking to you during a DUI stop. You'll also understand that why the breathalyzer machine that's used in Florida is unreliable. And when you understand these pieces of the law together, you really will understand how just trying to prove that you're sober or that you're not drunk, it's completely useless when you're in the moment on the side of the road. I'm Attorney Adam, an expert DUI and criminal defense attorney. I fight hard to defend people and their families across South Florida. And I can tell you from decades of experience how these infallible devices, these fancy breathalyzers, how they ruin people's lives based on junk science. When you understand what the law is actually looking for, which when you're on the side of the road is proof of impairment, not the legal limit. And when you understand how the tools that law enforcement use, they don't work like they're supposed to, well, it becomes crystal clear why you need to know the law. You need to know what your enemies are thinking. And in this case, your enemies are the police officers. You need to know how they're trained, what their policies and procedures are. Understanding this is absolutely critical to defend your future. There's a body camera clip that blew up a few months ago from a police stop in the Tampa area. Now this driver, she starts answering small questions about drinking. Well, then she contradicts herself. She gets a little emotional, argumentative, and refuses different parts of the process. And the whole time, the body cameras are rolling. And this case is a perfect example of what I tell people. Listen, it's not a conversation, okay? All of this is evidence that's being collected and used against you. Your best bet is just to understand you're not going to win an argument with police on the side of the road. You must be quiet, live to fight another day. And part of living to fight another day, again, is just being quiet and understanding, hey, this is gonna suck for the next 12 to 24 hours because I'm going to jail. But I'm going to get out and I'm going to make sure that less is more. And I'm going to give my attorney the absolute best chance that I can to save me and defend me and win my case by doing less, not more. A specific script to protect yourself. The very first thing always, which is so hard to do, be polite and calm. Keep the hands on the steering wheel. Second, provide only what the law requires, your license, your registration, and insurance. Third, exercise your Fifth Amendment right. Okay, number big 5 here. When the officer asks where you're coming from, how much you drank, what did you drink? Listen, you don't need to put up 5 and say Fifth Amendment. Just say, listen, officer, I'm happy to answer any questions with my attorney present. Until then, no thank you. And they're going to tell you, well, sir, ma'am, technically speaking, you don't have the right to an attorney right here during a DUI investigation, which in Florida is true. And then you say, well, then, no thank you. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say anything. Short, sweet, direct, to the point, period, the end. Okay? Remember, no period is a complete sentence. Fourth, field sobriety tests are voluntary, which means that you can say no thank you. So if they ask you to walk the line, do the dance, one-legged stand, cut your finger to your nose, you just say, listen, I'm not refusing to cooperate, but I'm not doing these. My attorney told me not to do them. One thing that I always like is if you have a police officer friend, you just say, listen, my friend Bobby, who's a police officer in your department, told me never to do these. No, thank you. Period. The end. And fifth, refuse consent searches. If they ask to search your car, right, what they'll do is they'll have this air of authority where they can say things that are technically questions and asking permission, but you in the moment you're going to feel like you can't say no. And then when you say yes, they're going to say, well, I just asked him and he consented. That's how they use some intimidation tactics to quote unquote gain consent. So understand, you can say, and you should say, no, thank you. I don't consent to any searches of any kind. Period. The end. That's it. Now, after you politely say all this, you're probably going to get arrested. Okay. You have to understand that. What you also have to understand is that you're getting arrested, whether you do them or whether you don't, whether you give them zero evidence or whether you keep trying to talk your way out of it. Look, it's 2026 and beyond. This is not the days of the 1980s when you hit a 3 cows in Texas. And guess what? Your cousin's, second uncle's brother, I don't even know if that makes sense, right, is related to half the police department, okay, in the same town you're in Texas, right? And they're gonna drive you home as a nice constable of the, of the police station, okay? Those things don't happen anymore, right? We're in modern times, and DUI is a money-making machine for law enforcement departments. Now in Florida, after you've been arrested for DUI, well, refusing a breath test can trigger an automatic driver's license suspension under Florida's implied consent law. And refusing the breath test is also a second-degree misdemeanor, which you can be charged with in addition to a DUI. And so these are two real and serious consequences that you need to understand. Now, as I'm a lawyer and I have ethical standards, right, and I'm a member of the Florida bar, I cannot tell you to break the law. But it's important to understand that compliance is enforced with unreliable equipment, these breathalyzer machines, the Intoxilyzer 8000, okay? Long story short, it's basically a 30 to 40-year-old computer. That's what it is, okay? The system is designed to confirm an officer's opinion, not to exonerate you. So don't let this black box algorithm that you can't see, hear, feel, or touch steal away your freedom. If you've been caught in this trap, you need to fight back with the facts. And here's proof that refusal or pushing back doesn't magically end the night. Miami Gardens police released body camera footage in a DUI arrest involving one of their own supervisors. Police officers getting in trouble. Never happens, right? Well, here it does. In this footage and reporting, officers describe the driving, they make observations, and the stop turns into a DUI investigation real fast. Now, despite protests of, hey, I'm sober, and despite the person declining field sobriety testing, the point isn't who it was. The point is this. Once an officer that they've decided their opinion, their story, they start building the file. And let me tell you, they always will believe that you're guilty. That's what they walk into. They don't walk in saying, I wonder if this person is or is not guilty. They go, I bet you this person's guilty. Okay? That's what they're thinking in their mind. So it's all confirmation bias. Well, let's say you're still not sure. Maybe one day you want to be a lawyer. So you say, hey, since I like to argue, what better way for me to get my practice than arguing with the police when I'm being investigated for DUI, right? Okay, well, whether you're nice to the cops and politely refuse, or if you cause a scene, you're going to go to jail and you're going to be met with your next set of choices. So first, you maybe thought, hey, let me just prove that I'm sober. Well, now you're in the back of a cop car being taken to jail. The next question you need to ask yourself is, if I couldn't prove that I was sober before when I'm doing these exercises and talking to the officer, well, am I going to be able to prove it now during this breath test? Well, there's no way I'm at a .08. You play the game in your mind. Well, I had 2 drinks. Those were 2 hours ago. Maybe I had 1 each hour. Okay, I drank some water. I feel a little better. Have you ever played that game? I know, back in college, I played that game a little bit. Well, it doesn't work for many, many, many reasons, okay? But one other quick reason it doesn't work before we tear this machine apart is, first of all, you don't know how much you really drank. What is 2 beers now? Are we talking 2 Coors Lights? Or are we talking 2 IPAs that are 20-ounce bottles? Big difference. Are we talking about 2 Jack and Cokes that are measured pours, 1.25 ounces each? Or are we talking about you flirting with the bartender and here they are, free pouring 2 drinks where it's this much Jack, that much Coke, right? So now you're at 6, 7 drinks here and you think you really only had 2.